to the MoxStars podcast. I am one of your hosts, Menace, and I'm here with Flash.
What's up? And I am back to not hearing the drops.
You can't hear them anymore, man?
Nope.
I do not know what's up with this soundboard. It's a mind of its own. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the MoxStars podcast, the number one podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper in tandem, together, forever. Beautiful combination of flavor and strategy. If you like sports show, you can find us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. Man, I don't know if you knew this. We surpassed 450 subscribers this last week. That's like, we're growing at an unprecedented rate right now. It's actually crazy. Y'all loved the Ketramos cEDH breakdown, and there was a ton of engagement on that. One from Zach saying, "Why didn't you tell me you were covering my deck? I would have made it more perfect." And then two from everybody else who has an opinion about Ketramos. So this video, I'm not sure if there's much opinion going around. Maybe you guys will, but keep that engagement up. Keep feeding the algae rhythm. We need to put food on the table for Don Cheadle and put clothes on his back, because Ross, you know, it's the place to dress for less, but the clothes aren't free. So make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also support us on all major podcasting platforms by leaving us a 5-star review, making us look super duper cool leading into MagicCon Chicago. We don't want to show up looking like we got 3-star reviews or even 2-star reviews. So make sure, get out there, leave us a 5-star review. That way, when we show up, we're going to look just crispy fresh, have tons of Dr. Pepper. If you need to find us at MagicCon Chicago, you'll find us by spotting the mountain of Dr. Pepper on our table. So this time, I'm going to get some of that blackberry stuff. Like, I have to. They got to have it in Chicago, right? It's a major metropolitan city. Where else are they going to have blackberry Dr. Pepper? You can also support us via Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead for $3 a month. Support the show. Become an official Pepperhead. Have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red on the Discord server. You can also support us at the $5 tier, which is the Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead tier. You can also support us at the $10 tier, the 2-liter tier, like Definitely Jeremy, Pool Boy Barry, and UWP Quirt. Thank you guys so much for your support. And we're a little backed up on the card of the week videos, so I definitely want to get caught up on those for the Patreon platform before we dive in and do another one. So I'll press pause on the card of the week this week, and then we'll do another one next week as I strive to get caught up on those videos. You can also support us like Reeve and Lift by joining the MoxStars Dr. Pepper Lounge, getting access to the lounge, joining the Tasmanian Devil, the Iron Giant, Vin Diesel, Don Cheadle, and LeBron's fake family in the exclusive lounge that we host in our memory palaces. There's also brunch in this memory palace. We don't serve past 3 o'clock. LeBron, I thought he knew that. He didn't know. Anything more, Flash? What, did I miss anything?
No, brunch is a lore drop from last week. Never mind. I was asking if that, I thought maybe that was new lore, but that is actually integrated lore.
Yeah, it's worked in now. The menu is I'll write up the menu and have it posted online. That way, update our Google, business account, just to make sure to include that, we do have Dr. Pepper on the menu. It is something you can get while you're having brunch in the MoxStars Dr. Pepper Lounge. All right, this week. Well, this week I thought it might be a worthwhile venture to look, since we haven't talked about it in a while, what the cEDH metagame breakdown looks like. Because after the bannings happened in, what was that, October? last year when we lost Dockside, Mana Crypt, and the Commander Rules Committee. We lost all that. Which, by the way, apparently those two are not connected to, or the Nazi thing and the banning of Dockside are not connected to the power grab.
But it did happen in like the same week.
Yeah.
And it was just part of the same seismic like shift in the format.
I felt like they were connected, right? Because they happened so closely together. Like, they were trying to make their own format. And then when the whole banning thing happened, and Wizards of the Coast was like, well, this is our format now. We're going to take control. We're going to level this thing out. And we're also going to make cEDH a real thing, you know, because we were trying to make it our own thing. They acknowledged that in the same breath as taking over the thing. So yeah, I felt like it was relevant to the situation. Regardless, people are saying it's separate. Let's keep Nazis and Magic separate. Yeah? Sound fair? Okay. Moving forward. Talking about the metagame. Before we do that, I still haven't tasted Dr. Pepper Blackberry. If you guys want to put some in the mail, reach out via the Discord server. I will give you my address and my personal address where you can hunt me down and make me taste this Dr. Pepper. But I still haven't tasted that in news. That's news. And a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Moxfield in a way, not necessarily that in a way that like made it onto the episode, but Flash introduced me to a method that I didn't know about, but you can actually turn like certain, like if you have an iPhone, you can take a web page and you can turn it into a shortcut, like a little app button on your phone. Flash, can you enlighten me on this? I don't know if I know all the directions exactly.
You can open Moxfield in your browser, whatever browser you're using, Chrome or Safari or whatever on your phone, and then add the Moxfield page to your home screen. At which point, if you click on that link or you click on the Moxfield thing that you just put on your home screen, rather than opening your browser, it opens its own like Moxfield window.
Yeah, it's almost
There's
like
not any really added functionality, but it is like a sneaky little. This is a sneaky little Moxfield app.
Yeah, it basically turns it into an app on your phone. I don't know what like coding there is like in the back end of Moxfield to make it do this, because I have other shortcuts on my home screen and it's just like they don't do what this one does. I don't know why it's different, but yeah, it like turns Moxfield into an app on your iPhone. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that. You can just, look at open the app, open the Moxfield app, and it has its own little icon thing too, which is sweet. So that little neat little tidbit of information is necessary as you go forward in life and into potentially MagicCon Chicago. Another thing before we talk about the cEDH metagame, Chicago, MagicCon Chicago is coming up. And Flash and I have very, very limited experience in Chicago. So I did the logical thing and I looked up things to do Chicago. Rather, I typed in Chicago things to do. But just to while you're at the convention, while you're out there floating around in space, not playing Magic, what are some things that you can do while you're in Chicago? We don't have the deep dive like in Vegas. We don't have that, know all the nooks and crannies. But when I was a kid, I did go there with my dad, and we did a lot of the things that were on the top of these lists, like go to the art museum, go to, which, by the way, if you haven't been to the Field Museum in Chicago and you love dinosaurs, there's like a Brontosaurus, there's like T-Rex, stuff like that. It's really cool to see. And now dinosaurs have become sort of lame lately with Jurassic World and how they've ruined dinosaurs in movies, and there's a dinosaur in every MTG set, and they're just everywhere. They're not as special as they once felt, but they do feel special still when you go see them in real life. So go check it out at the Field Museum. There's also Lincoln Park Zoo, which we went to when I was a kid, and it is, oh man, it's something else. You know what? I might just cut this from the episode. It doesn't feel like relevant information since I'm just spewing what's on Google.
Fair enough.
cEDH Metagame Breakdown. We all thought that after the banning that things would change. We were hopeful that things would change. The childish, hopeful parts of us hoped and wondered if it ever would, thinking that Dockside and Mana Crypt leaving would give other decks space to flourish. But I want to just go through and just see what is actually still being played and seeing success out in the wild. So 3 weeks ago, I went and played a tournament here in Seattle, and I don't know. I thought I might see some unique decks, and I did. Like seeing Zuladoc out there and like seeing what it can do was really cool. But most of the time at every table there was a familiar deck. Like, I don't know. I played against Blue Farm in my first pod, and I was like, okay, here we go. Right? So when we sort by, the last 3 months, minimum number of entries is 60. And the tournament size is all tournaments, so that we can even encapsulate the small, like 30-person, 40-person tournaments. 60 plus is actually kind of rare. Like, those are pretty big events. So I just wanted to like encapsulate it all. And guess what the number one top conversion is now? It is Blue Farm. Blue Farm is the number one conversion at nearly 38%. And this is like taking in conversion rate. Yeah. The density, yes, you're going to see a lot of Blue Farm out there regardless, but it's still converting at an incredible rate. And it makes you wonder if Mana Crypt and Dockside were holding this deck down in a way. Because I remember the conversion rate only being like 28% or something like that, but it was a super high density of Blue Farm decks. And the thing is that the deck didn't really lose a lot. If anything, it's gained a lot of really cool pieces lately. And by losing Dockside and Mana Crypt, it's just given the deck 2 more slots to like either create a more efficient or more unique play pattern for the particular pilot. Since this is like, Blue Farm is definitely a very high skill cap. Like, the effects are simple. Timna says, swing, punch, I draw cards. And Crom says, you cast 2 spells, I draw a card. Super simple. Not a lot of instruction needed for these commanders. But the card advantage engine itself and how you navigate through the game requires that like high level of skill cap. So we're seeing maybe that now that Dockside and Mana Crypt are gone, that it actually takes a little less, or there's a little bit more wiggle room, or there's more room for error with Timna or with Blue Farm for it to be able to succeed. So I'm not really when I played against it, it never felt like a threat. Like, that's the thing is, whenever I see the deck, I'm not necessarily like too concerned because I know what it can do. I know that, some of the new slots are like, people are now like putting Delny in, and a few other new things from Bloomborough, or, which, by the way, Bloomborough just, I didn't think so many cards would be relevant, but it is crazy. I don't think anything like Aether Drift is ever going to meet what the level of power was for Bloomborough. It's almost similar to like, when I look back on like not Wilds of Eldraine, but Throne, like the first Eldraine set, that set was like crazy powerful. There's a lot of really relevant cards. And
Wizard still drops like a benchmark set like once a year.
Yeah.
Cycle.
Yeah, that I think Bloomborough was it. Like it felt like every card. I don't know, not every card, but there were far more relevant cards from Bloomburrow than any other set last year. So, yeah, Blue Farm still sitting at number 1. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see a little shakeup there, but it is what it is. We're here. Number 2. This is where the shakeup happens. This is where I'm happy to see this deck. This is exactly what I predicted, and this is exactly where I think this deck deserves to be. It's Tayam, Luminous Enigma. Tayam is the number 2 deck in the last 3 months to convert with a 32.47% rate. So wow. I knew this deck would it would start to thrive once Dockside was gone, because there's no punishment to building a board state, right? Like that Dockside, I always thought was like the bane of my existence for that reason. Like I can't build a board state of artifacts and enchantments. I can't build advantage. It just is upended by one explosive ETB trigger. And I was playing irrelevant cards for a long time, like just to stop Dockside because of how prevalent it was. So Tayam now flourishing with Mana Crypt and Dockside out of the format. And I couldn't be happier. This is what I felt the deck could do when I played it for the first time in 2020. There are a lot of different play patterns. That's the thing that's this deck's strength, right? This is another, and that's the one thing you'll notice about the top decks that we're talking about, is they're all super high skill caps. They require a ton of reps, a ton of experience, and a ton, you have to know what line you're going to walk, and also know how to navigate through it as, the game changes. So, I think that Tayam will continue to thrive because there are so many different ways to win with it. I love the -1/-1 counter deck. I love Hapatra. Obviously, I would have loved to see another Hapatra and Aether Drift. Will I shut up about it ever? No, I won't. I really wanted one. I really wanted a new one. But those cowards at Wizards of the Coast are afraid. Anyway, Tayam. There are a lot of different ways to win. You have to be be knowledgeable about each deck at the table in order to navigate the game correctly. And we're seeing the players that have stuck to it and stayed devoted to Tayam flourish out here in this new wild, wild west of a meta without being punished by Dockside. Number 3, Tymna Thrasios. This is TNT, if I'm thinking correctly. TNT is one of those decks that just generates a ton of value. Mid ranges the hell out of the game, and you just have to assemble infinite mana and infinite colorless mana, and you win the game. So Thrasios, still a relevant card. Tymna, always relevant. There's not much to be said about this deck in the same light as Blue Farm. This is just another version of Blue Farm that includes green, so you can neoform and pod your way into your lines. I'm not sure if some of these decks are still running Deadeye Navigator or anything like that to generate infinite mana, but it'd be worth TNT is definitely another deck where you can sort of, depending on the pilot, decide which direction you want to go. Number 4, it's Kenrith, Returned King. Now, I wish we had Atlas on the show to just break this down, which, by the way, we did have Atlas on the show a while back when he was ranked 15th.
We have. Your wish came true.
Yeah.
Just not true right now.
Not true right now. I'm sure he would hop back on in a moment's notice to let us know what's up with Kenrith lately. But 3 weeks ago, he won that tournament. It's something he likes to do, win tournaments. And he does it every single time with Kenrith. Hasn't changed commanders because, again, all fluid strategies. Like Kenrith just does a lot of everything. It's has a lot of text, has a lot of abilities. He can work through pretty much every line. He can work through curse totems. I've seen it in the final pod that I was staying there watching. They threw a curse totem down, like the Yuriko deck that had made it to the final pod. Threw a curse totem down, and Atlas still worked his way through it. It was just like a beautiful thing to see. So the thing with Kenrith that I will say is that even though it's a combat-based deck, it still finds a way to get it done. It manipulates the mid game. It strives to be there. It strives to get to the late game. It strives to bank on non-land permanents generating value. The one complaint I will say that about this new metagame is that it's actually kind of crazy to me to see Tayam so high, because everybody is just mulliganing for Rhystic Study or Mystic Remora, and then that's basically it. Like, that was every game I played 3 weeks ago had a Mystic Remora, had a Rhystic Study involved. So those are the new big baddies. I think if you're looking to ban a card now, the way things currently stand, it's Rhystic Study that's got to go. Which, looking at big baddies and what to ban, you just create another big baddie after that. Things shift, and then Smothering Tithe becomes, something that becomes ban worthy. So Kenrith is just one of those decks that wants to get there, wants to generate, it can generate its own card advantage. It just does everything so well with things like Agatha of the Vile Cauldron, which I think when it came out, everyone was like, I don't know. It doesn't represent all that much. Like it might be too out of the way to go, but it represents so mana. And this is what Atlas talked about, which, by the way, I was going to say this earlier. Atlas was number 15 in the world when we had him on the show. He's now number 3 in the world. Like in cEDH, number 3. So it'd be great to get him back on the show to talk through his last few months climbing the ladder and what he's seen, what he keeps running into, and help expand on the metagame a little bit more, get a little bit more in depth. But Kenrith, he is lighting the way. Let's see if he is near the top here. Yeah, he's the number 2 deck. 4 wins, 0 losses, 3 draws. He's also the 5th deck. He's also, he's just a great player. 7th deck. His name's peppered all over this list. There's one in the top just page alone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Atlas lists here. So it's no one has 2 gold medals next to their name except Atlas. Crazy. All right. Yeah, he's great. It's Kenrith. You never know what line they're going to walk. There's a lot of different options. Next, at number 5, Rog Thrasios. Now, I thought Rogsai might be here since it was like a turbo deck that never, by losing Dockside, by losing Mana Crypt, actually got a little bit faster. Threats were less present. They couldn't be punished by putting down a bunch of rocks right away. Interacting with it is obviously a must. Rog Thras is very similar, yet doesn't have the reputation that Rogsai does. So it doesn't surprise me so much that it's here. It's just I thought Rogsai would be higher, but we're seeing Rogthras here instead at number 5. Its ability to change Rograk into a relevant creature and pursue lines of infinite mana is, things like Birthing Pod and Neoform and Eldritch Evolution. The deck really just let me pull up a list quick. It just goes. And like they're playing new cards, like, and they're playing high end cards too. Like these are turbo decks that are still playing Seedborn Muse, Wandering Archaic, Consphinx, Hullbreaker Horror. Like this is another deck list that seeks to win through infinite blinking of Sowing Mycospawn to exile all of your opponent's lands and then win through combat. So there's definitely some crazy lines in these decks. Cloudstone Curio, still a very relevant thing here. Earthcraft with Rograk is actually insane. But yeah, this is actually a really cool list. It's a really crazy deck that when you see, you just know it's about to explode and shoot out of a cannon in turn 2 or turn 3. So at number 5, make sure you're staying aware that Rogthras is just as much, if not more of a threat in the current meta than Rogsai is. Number 6, Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. We'll do a couple more notable ones after this and just talk about where they're sitting, like Glarb. But Sisay, Weatherlight Captain comes in here. This is something that, like, this is a deck that definitely benefited from having Dockside, like, to be able to produce the 5 colors necessary to activate the ability. I don't think the deck necessarily struggles as much as we thought it would, but it's still very much relevant if you're playing any sort of stacks to play Curse Totem effects, just because the top 5 of the top 6 commanders in the cEDH metagame breakdown have activated abilities that win them the game. So if you're out there and you're playing stacks, and you're not playing Curse Totem or Lavinia or whatever, or Limvala, you need to put them in. You need to find a way to get them in there, because it's just something that, like, down here, Kinnan, another activated ability that wins the game. Like, we need to start. Yeah, it might just be worth throwing it in. But if you're playing something that has an activated ability, it's like, is it still worth it? It could still be worth it. I think it might. So yeah, Sisay sitting here, probably still very much on a few of these lines that run through, like, Planeswalkers, run through, legend, like, obviously legendary. There's a few legendary creature loops, but the Planeswalker loop is usually the most common and hardest to interact with. I guess it's still running that. As we go down, we look at a few more notable decks. Magda, still flourishing in the meta. Kinnan, another, like, these lower color, like 2 and 1 color decks, monocolor decks, still thriving out here, still presenting themselves as very viable options. I know that Higher of Playing with Power was playing Kinnan last time I ran into him, and definitely still, just with how the game has shifted to reaching, like, mid-range hell, Kinnan thrives there. It's also a deck that can win on turn 2 if it's unabated and you have a good hand. So same with Magda, very low to the ground, can still find its way through, can still navigate. Traxa is here, Tivit, Najila. So, and as we go down a little bit further, we see Glarb. I'm not sure. Let's see. It comes in at number 16. So it makes the top 16 cut. Glarb is here. It is relevant. Top 16 commander. Flash, how's that make you feel?
Feels great.
Yeah. Yeah, you called it. And it's so early in its conception right now that I think it's just the more that pilots stick to the deck, the more successful it will be. Like, it's just the commander allows you to navigate the top deck so effectively and see more cards, gain more information. And as long as you know how to wiggle yourself through certain scenarios, Glarb is a deck that can take it the distance. Let's actually want to see if, like, there are 3 people who've won tournaments with more than 60 players with Glarb. So while right now the conversion rate isn't as high as like some of the more established decks, the only thing you have to do is to stay dedicated to it so it can become established. I think that's something that, like, even Tordeth with Rocco, he's like, I believe in the deck. I'm going to keep playing the deck. For me, it would be, if I was playing more tournaments, it would be Shalai Halar. I would be like, this is a relevant deck. This deck can win games. Like, just, if you're playing Galar, stick to it. For the love of God, stick to it. It will get you there. Doomsday will win you the game. Also, Doomsday. It's back. I think it's, yeah, that's also more relevant than ever. But yeah, as we scroll down and we get to the bottom of the list, there are a few other, like Winota is starting to see a higher conversion rate than it was in previous iterations. Derevi also, Talion, Yuriko. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Obnixilus is still in the mix. But yeah, I am a little disappointed, when I looked at it. I know that the deck is still, like, the platform is still very popular, so I wasn't really worried about seeing or getting like mixed results or misinformed or some sort of like misinformation. But it's like, this disappoints me in the way that I thought that things would shake up and we would see different decks. But people are just like, yeah, Dockside's gone, Mana Crypt's gone. No, I mean, the deck still works. It just doesn't explode like it used to. So I really thought there'd be a shakeup there. There wasn't. Everyone is still very much playing the same decks. And while we are seeing one deck like Tayam really rise to the top and have such a high conversion rate, a lot of the decks like beneath it or next to it are still very much the same. So the only thing that's changed is that red has become a rather irrelevant color in cEDH as of late, unless you're on certain...
Yeah, I mean, red provides Dockside. It provides maybe deflecting SWAT if your commander is low CMC enough.
Yeah, Rograk.
Right? I mean, it provides Underworld Breach. But, I mean, the big thing was Dockside.
Yeah, even Underworld Breach is becoming like a lesser pursued line. And I don't quite know why. I think it's known enough. It's basically one of those things where if it goes on the stack and enough information has been revealed that you have to interact with it. So it's something that, like, even though you might put it on the stack, the odds of you winning does not like necessarily go up. It's a very well-known line. I think people are pursuing it less. Even though I have seen, like, in the cEDH Discord, someone was talking about, like winning on turn 2 with an Underworld Breach. They had the God Hand. So it can still get you there. It's like, we're looking at Underworld Breach right now the way that we were looking at the way we were looking at Doomsday, like, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, where we were like, Doomsday, why is anyone playing that card? Yes, it wins you the game, but it's just not as efficient or not as likely to win you the game as some other options. But now I think Doomsday is incredibly relevant, and someday Underworld Breach will still like circle back and I will still lose to it. I promise you, like, someone is still playing it. But yeah, red, outside of, like, unless you're running very specific lines like Goblin Welder or Goblin Engineer lines that, like, for me, I like running engineer lines that revolve around like a molten duplication, create an additional copy, and then you get 2 artifacts in the graveyard that just win you the game, like Walking Ballista and Agatha Soul Cauldron. So you do have like options like that if you're still in like 3 color decks that include red, or like in Teamer, it's one of those things. I think Underworld Breach is pretty much your only option there. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it like develops and what new cards get introduced for red. But right now, that's the color that needs the most help in EDH. In cEDH, it's something that doesn't generate resources as effectively as it did with Dockside, so it just becomes a less relevant color. So they need to somehow introduce a card that makes red playable that doesn't break once it hits the battlefield. High ask. It's a big ask here. Gavin, if you're listening, it's a big ask. Make it happen. It's just, apparently we needed it for red to be relevant. All right. And this might not be the longest episode we ever do, but I think it was fun to like look through and see what kind of decks are converting right now. And I'm sure I will see a ton of these decks in Chicago at MagicCon, at the table.
Menace. If you were to pick a meta deck right now to play rather than some of your off-meta experiments, which of these that you talked about today do you think you would run?
Well, I think everyone is expecting me to say Tayam, but I don't play Tayam the same way as everybody else. I play it in a far worse light. So probably not that. I would be very interested in learning and playing Kenrith.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's a pretty good Kenrith player out there that you could pepper with questions, perhaps.
I don't know. I don't know if he's got time, for little old me. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? What's the worst he can say?
That he hates you and never speak to him again.
That's fair. That would make me.
But he probably won't say that. But that your question was, what's the worst thing?
Yeah,
that he would say if you asked him.
Yeah, that would hurt my feelings.
He wouldn't do that. Too nice of a guy.
Yeah. You would, if you've ever met Atlas or if you've seen it at a table, you're like, he's such a nice guy. How is he so ruthless and cold-blooded at the table?
I don't know if you're familiar with this meme. There's the photo of the guy who founded SEAL Team 6.
I'm already lost.
Oh my God. Or one of the guys who founded it, and he just looks like an accountant. Just one of the biggest badasses in U.S. military history. And he just he looks like he's there to do your taxes.
Yeah, that's probably where they came up with the movie The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
What a film!
You're familiar.
Huge film of Ben Affleck's late career research. Huge fan of Ben Affleck's late career resurgence over here.
Yeah, with things like Gone Girl. That was
Gone Girl. Yeah, classic.
Yep, incredible movie.
The Town.
Oh yeah.
Argo.
Oh yeah.
Air.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Last Duel.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Even his early career, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, he was in that film. What? Yeah. Any other actors with late career resurgences we should mention before we get out of here?
Toni Collette.
I don't know who Toni Collette is.
She was the mom in The Sixth Sense. She was in Hereditary. Mafia Mama, of course, probably a huge touchstone for fans of this podcast. We all love Mafia Mama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Muriel's Wedding.
Yeah, I'm still unfamiliar, but it sounds like I have a list of films to watch.
Watchers.
Clock Watchers.
Is she in Clock Watchers? Maybe not. But, those are undeniably, I named at least 3 Toni Collette films.
For all you cinema lovers out there, if you can confirm or deny Flash's, Toni Collette, IMDb, get out there. We could IMDb it on the show, but this show is about Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper. So if you're out there and you're listening to it, send me some Blackberry Dr. Pepper. I can't find it. It's not out here. And if it is, it's snatched up so quickly that I'm just not able to get to it in time. So send it out here. Join the Discord server. I will give you my personal address so I can taste the liquid magic, the liquid heaven known as Blackberry Dr. Pepper. You can support the show by finding us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. Feed the algae rhythm. Put some clothes on Don Cheadle's back from Ross. Like the last time I went to Ross, man, they actually, it was funny that they had a bunch of Dallas Cowboy like bomber jackets, right? And I was thinking, you know what, that actually looks pretty nice. You know, like if I was insane and liked the Cowboys.
Yeah, that actually reminds me, go Birds.
Oh yeah, Super Bowl this weekend. You got the Birds? You taking them?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Saquon.
Their year.
Man, Saquon, what a fumble by the Giants. Crazy player. But yeah, I hope he takes you the distance. I do not want
they
the
undeniably look good against the Commanders a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they were
what, 55 points?
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty undeniable. Like they just looked stout, and that's like the big thing is that you see in the Super Bowl is that the two teams with the best defenses made it. So defense wins championships, and right now Cooper DeJean, man, on this podcast we're talking about Cooper DeJean. You guys nailed it on two corners in the draft. You know how rare that is? Extremely rare. So,
mythic rarity.
Yeah, mythic. Mythic level rarity. That you guys pulled two sweet corners out of the pack of draft, of the NFL draft. So yeah, support us via YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. If you want us to talk about the NFL more, I'm sure we could. You can also support us on all major podcasting platforms by making us look super duper cool with a 5-star review. And you can also leave comments on the Spotify platform. I will make sure to keep my eyes peeled for the engagement there. Respond to everything, like everything, comment on this video. And you can also support us via Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead. $3 a month, become an official Pepperhead. Join the Discord server and have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red. You can also support us at our Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead tier, like maybe Anthony, KB, Mono Greg, Jacob Hibbard, Tommy Cypher, Demon82, K Mr. K, Will Rule, and UWP Quirt. UWP Quirt upgraded. They're no longer in this tier. They're in the 2-liter tier, which you can support us at $10 a month and gain access to our Card of the Week videos, which I'm aiming to catch up on. You can also join the MoxStars Dr. Pepper Lounge. Get yourself a Nia Guy Gon' Do hat. I'm working on the Get Glarbed hats. I submitted a request with... basically, I submitted the design to the hat company, and I'm just seeing if they can actually embroider it, if it's not too offensive. So, what kind of frog nonsense did I put on it? You'll have to wait and find out when I receive them in the mail. All right, closing thoughts on this episode, Flash.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, and for the love of God, get out there.
Not Nadu. Birds except for Nadu.
Oh yeah, that got banned too. If you're out there and you have a deck you believe in this deck, and you think it deserves to be on this top, like in the top 28, 32, whatever we're looking at here on the cEDH Metagame Breakdown, stick to it. Stick to the deck. Keep getting reps, keep getting experience. Do it until you go insane. because that's the only way that you are going to increase your conversion rate is by playing the same deck, getting reps, and knowing how to navigate the meta as it shifts and changes. It's the only way it's going to happen for you. Also, go Birds. Sorry, I'm not a Chiefs fan. For all you Chiefs fans listening, screw the Chiefs. Might have lost a couple subscribers there. All right. We're the MoxStars podcast, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic Gathering and Dr. Pepper. We're out. Peace.
Bye.